Hey guys, welcome to another video. This time we're playing in the Object 140. We're on Fisherman's Bay. We're platooned up with Nerve. We're going to see what we can do. I have quite a love-hate relationship with Fisherman's Bay. If everything goes to plan, it's one of the most fun maps in my opinion. You can have some really interesting fights along this middle ridge, which is where I usually locate my vehicle, especially when I'm driving mediums and light tanks. I usually always go to this middle section, try to spot some heavies going into the town. I feel like this spawn has a significant advantage because on the other side, there's not really a good spot to be to catch out the enemy's heavily armored tanks going to the town without getting spotted and ripped apart. Here we can use buildings, we can take some cover, and I really like this position. You can see I'm getting early damage. We already killed a Waffle E100. We're doing our best to balance tier 10 tank destroyers one game at a time. But yeah, like I was saying, the reason that I have such an up and down feeling about Fisherman's Bay is that so many cases you'll find medium tanks and light tanks just YOLO through the middle hill, and they'll come right over to your side and kill you before any of your teammates even shoot them. If they do, they put themselves completely exposed, but it doesn't seem to really matter. I don't know if it just happens to me. Or other people experience it as well. Light tanks just seem to go flying right over that middle road, go YOLOing past those buildings, and then try to get you caught out. And you'd expect some support fire, especially right at the start of the game, but a lot of times it doesn't come, and you lose a lot of your health or you go down, and that's why this map can be so frustrating for me. But we're platooned up with Nerve, so we know somebody's got our back. We have all these guys caught out. We're not even getting spotted. None of their lightly armored vehicles, mobile vehicles, came to the middle ridge, which is very nice. We can just dominate it without much pressure, as long as we don't get spotted. I believe there's a Death Star back there, so we're going to have to keep an eye out for him. And we're also in the Object 140, one of the best DPM medium tanks in the game, and one of my favorites. It's one of the most powerful, so obviously it's going to be a lot of fun to play. So basically I wanted to show you guys how I work through this map. I go to the initial bush location and building that you saw me go to. I get those initial shots. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And then I either fight it out with mediums on their side of the middle road, or I push up to this building here, which offers you a lot of cover, except for artillery when they're off to the side, maybe by that little lighthouse in the far corner. But their artillery's already dead, so we got free reign to come on here and try to put out some pain. We fired a couple heat rounds at the Batchat. We were expecting to fire them at the Type 5, and we didn't really have a chance to load an APCR shell for him. And it's a good thing we didn't, because we wouldn't have had time to put in the second shell if we were busy double tapping A. So we were able to put in 2 shots on him very quickly. He stuck around to try to get a shot into us, and we made him pay for it. The reason that I think this side is at an advantage, as I mentioned earlier, you get those initial shots without as much risk, and when the enemy team takes the town, you're in a great defensive location below where I am right now. Right behind me, there's a nice ridge line. You can really defend well, whereas on the other side, you open yourself up really badly. There's no buildings around the middle ridge, so if you come up to go by the buildings, you open yourself up to shots from the people coming from the town. And if you fall back to use the ridgeline properly in order to put in shots into the enemies going through the town and in towards your spawn, then you open yourselves up to shots of tanks that are in the position that I'm in. And I can just put shot after shot into that guy, and he's 100% caught out in the open. The only reason I'm not being more aggressive right now is because I was fairly sure that there's still a Death Star behind that light tank still. At the very start of the game, we saw one cross over the road, and there's still 2 alive, and I believe 1 dead. And I thought one of the alive ones was still back there. So we're taking our time, we're putting in shots where we can, trying to get back behind this building. We narrowly avoid a shot, and at the time, I was thinking that was a HESH round from the Death Star. But it turned out to be a HEP round from the Brazilian Bulldog. But at the time, we didn't know that, so I was just so thankful that that didn't hit me, because it definitely wouldn't have felt good. So we're pushing into the bush. We're going to try to get out a Death Star. As you can see, we've finished off the Bulldog. But we're still sitting here. We're expecting our heavy tanks that push through the town to light up this Death Star for us. And we're waiting to put in shots. And it turns out to be a waste of time. I thought for sure he was back there, but once their heavy tanks keep going, they still haven't spotted anything, we realize like he can't be there. So we relocate. We're gonna go try to defend the other side. We know they won the far side, and we know that there's still 2 Death Stars left. There's a Conqueror, and there's also a Batchat. Batchat player we put a couple shots into earlier. We know he likes to stick around to try to put in some damage, so we're thinking, okay, we can probably get him out. He's probably pretty low by now. So if he gets lit up, we know to focus him down. The Death Star, as you can see, is on full health. We get a nice shot into him, and now the Conqueror is pushing out from the building that we couldn't shoot him around before, and we're just trying to track him. Unfortunately, he points himself right to us, but we do end up tracking him anyway, but we can't do any damage. And then he just gets around the building, and we're going to let him go. Hopefully get him a bit. Batchat pops up. We put 1 shot into him. We try to angle, and unfortunately he does pen us, but we do take him out. We lose our driver, and I do choose to swap out the med kit for rations on my Russian medium tanks for the most part, and so we can't put our driver back in, but we do have jack of all trades, which will make it sting a little bit less. The Conqueror goes down, and we're going to try to make our way in towards these Death Stars, and we're going to showcase once again the weak point of the Death Star turret, the top bar. It's very square, it's a little rectangle, and we took advantage of it in my first commentary, the Conqueror match on mines. And unfortunately, here we see I load an APCR. I'm thinking we don't need these heat rounds, so we missed the opportunity to put a shot into the Death Star's drive wheel, keeping him tracked up to let our teammates do damage, and we would have also been able to do more damage. But we do go through the top bar once again. Since they buffed the Death Star's turret, it's really hard to penetrate, so I would recommend targeting that top bar. It's your best bet to go through it. We're not able to pick up any more damage on the Death Star at the end of the game, but the game ends and we still have a pretty good result. Just over 7,500 damage. We pick up our brothers in arms since Nerve also did well. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll try to go over more and more maps to help you guys out as best as I can.